So remember I spoke about each time we hang out, and I get to discover a different side of you, and I was very impressed last time on your knowledge about finance and money,
Yes.
and how savvy you are in investment. Clearly, this is not a skill that is being taught in school, no medical school, and you just pick up, that knowledge from reading.
Yeah.
Tell me why, the ability to manage your own finance is important, and how does one do it? What are your tips? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, honestly, I don't really talk about...
That's a curveball.
Yeah, that's the curveball, about finance publicly.
Yeah.
And
it's important, isn't it?
It is very important.
Yeah.
Like as much as you want to help people, right, you still need money.
Uh-huh.
You need money to get things running, to do stuff. And I thought, I really want to get rich so that I can help as many people as I can,
Right.
or I can do better projects or bigger projects,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not so dependent on, other sources, for example.
Right.
So, alongside the personal development books, I bought so many personal finance, wealth, entrepreneurship, investment books, and we were reading a lot, my husband and I. And not just that, we attend seminars, we watch like interviews or listen to podcasts, etc. on it. And it is very important. I think we should all try to strive for financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of issues in relationships arise because of financial problems.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of psychologists will agree.
Mm-hmm.
There's issues of money here and there. If you can take that out of the equation, it would be so much easier, like to resolve the issues that are real issues, real world issues that you want to help in, like poverty or education or empowerment, whatever it is. So for me, tip wise, I would say read.
Let's hold on to the thought.
Yeah.
You share with me a story that is quite, I think, would have been a tipping point about you visiting the slum in Manila in the Philippines, and you were talking about your shoe is more expensive. Let's go there.
Okay, so I have quite a lot of good friends in the Philippines, and one person in particular, MJ, one of my good friends.
Michael Jordan.
No, that's not her name.
Okay.
Mary Jane is her name. She lives in Cagayan de Oro, which is on the giant island of Mindanao. And we visited one of these villages, they call barangay, in Bukidnon. So she told me, before I went there, she actually told me stories of poor children around the farm that her father owns. And then she said they're so poor that, they only eat maybe once a day with whatever it is they can find. And even for school, they don't finish primary school. They may stop at like primary 4 because they just can't afford it. And then the parents, don't really work, etc. So then when I visited her for a business project in the Philippines, I said, can we see these children you're talking about? I'd love to meet them. So so the district officer kindly, gathered the families and the children together. We brought them, lots of food, and not toys, shoes, because she said they need shoes. They don't have shoes. So then we brought them there, and the moment we drove in, they were running around the car and stuff. They were laughing, they were playing. And then I was like, wow, Joe, look at this. They're really happy. I was saying to my husband. And I was amazed at how happy they were. And then, so got there and then gave them the food and the shoes. They were really grateful, and they sang thank you. It was really sweet. And I even looked at their homes. I wanted to see what the home was like. And I was shocked at this home. It was so tiny. It was like, I don't know, maybe maybe 10 by 10 feet, right? And the ground was earth.
Wow.
There was no flooring, nothing. And all around, I couldn't see much. It was like just makeshift things, right? And I said, where's the food? And then this lady pointed at this bottle that was like this small, and then she said, "It's in there." And I said, "But what's in it?" She said, "It's corn flour." So I said, "So what do you guys eat?" She said, "We, mix the corn flour with water and eat with whatever we can find outside." I couldn't believe it. And, and then I said, "How many people live here?" She said, 10 people. I was like, wow, this tiny space. They even laughed about it. They joked about it. They said, "Oh yeah, we're like sardines."
They're incredibly resilient people.
Yeah. And on top of that, when I was outside playing with the kids, I remember asking questions. I usually ask these kids questions, what are your dreams and why? 2 kids struck me. One girl said she wanted to be a nurse, and the other one said she wanted to be a teacher. And the kid who wanted to be a nurse said she wanted to be a nurse because she wanted to help sick people. And the other kid who said, she wanted to be a teacher because she wanted to help little children. And these are 12-year-old kids who had to stop school 2 years ago because they couldn't afford it. And luckily I was wearing very dark sunglasses because I was crying. I thought, wow, if these people with nothing, can be so abundant in wanting to help their community. I just thought, I want to bring this back to Brunei. I want our kids to be like this. This is so beautiful, this abundant thinking of wanting to contribute to our community. If these people with nothing can do that, what about us?
Right.
With all this privilege. And then when we went back into the car, I said to my friend, okay, we have no choice, guys. We have to make this work. We have to make money so we can help these people, so we can create jobs for them, and we can fund the children to go to school. It was this drive, and that really was the
switch on
point, for me. Exactly, switched on everything, and I just thought, okay, we have to save money, we have to be good with money, we have to learn about finance, investing, and everything, and we have to be smart about it.
Right. Wow. That's a powerful story. And you've been pretty smart with your money. I understand that you've invested in different business endeavor. So you're multifaceted.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have to be, you have to learn, right?
If it's not confidential, what are some of the smarter things that you've done with your money? And let's go into the tips here.
Okay, so I would say definitely is, read books first, or gain knowledge in whatever it is that you want to do.
You don't park your money just in the bank.
No, I don't believe in that. Oh God,
right.
Banks are gonna hate me, but I don't believe in that. And that's why I said read books, gain knowledge first.
What kind of book would you recommend?
The first book would be The Richest Man in Babylon.
I was thinking about that.
Definitely, hands down.
Right.
That book changed me because after I read that book, I suddenly opened like a second account, a third account, made sure that I paid myself first. That is paramount. This concept of paying yourself first. The Richest Man in Babylon is such a beautiful story, and the lessons you learn you will keep. I remember sharing a story with somebody. That afternoon, I went with them to the bank to open a second account.
Oh man.
That was how powerful the story was. Yeah,
wow.
Amazing. So learn about it. And then there's, there are many different avenues you can
that's
invest.
Timeless principle.
Exactly, timeless principle. But then, as I said, there are many different avenues where you're going to put your money. Because now the question is, where do you put your money, right? Many different avenues you have. That's why you need to learn about it. You can either put it in your, what's it called, stock portfolio. You can have it as hard assets like businesses or having real estate, or if you want, you can have some contingency money in cash. So 3 things: cash, paper assets, hard assets. These 3 things.
Right.
But the question is, what are you going to put your money in, right? So that's why I said knowledge is where it comes in. Knowledge, and also speaking to people with experience who are where you want to be. So don't speak to someone who doesn't have it. Like, for example, let's say your auntie is, someone you really love, who's, a really kind person, has a really beautiful relationship, but she's not the richest person, she doesn't have all these businesses, etc. You don't go to her to ask about
money advice.
Yeah, money advice,
right.
or, you go to her for relationship advice, for life advice. And then you have
pick a battle.
Exactly. Pick a battle.
Yeah, pick a mentor.
Pick your person. Yeah. And then you see another person who's an amazing entrepreneur, but really terrible love life. You don't go to them for relationship advice.
Ask them about business.
You ask him about entrepreneurship questions and business questions and advice. Pick the right person where you want the information from. Because in this day and age, where we have so much data, where we have so much information, it's endless. The question is, where do you get your source from? Make sure it's reliable. Make sure you pick the source from the right person, etc.
Now, what do you say to those people who are not earning the doctor's income? That don't have the disposable income to be investing in different places? It would be a totally different kind of advice that they're seeking in not on investment, but how do you accumulate and save enough?
The richest man in Babylon principle, simple. So in The Richest Man in Babylon, right, is a story about a slave who managed to buy himself off. But how did he do that? So what he did was, whatever money he earned, 10% of it he would hide away. And at the end of the year, imagine it's 1 gold coin a month for them during that time, right? At the end of the year, it will be 12 gold coins. Now that's a nice amount. What am I going to do with these 12 gold coins? So the first principle is paying yourself first. Before you pay your bills or anything, put away a specific amount of money that is completely untouchable for your funds. You don't.
So you live by this principle?
I absolutely do.
Right.
Yeah, and I have a minimum. For example, let's say my minimum is 15%. Anything above that, that's a bonus. So if I have anything extra, I will put it in too. So for example, let's say you put in 15%, right? If you live by this principle, you have to pay yourself first, because if you keep, the problem is for people, whatever money we have, you're going to spend every single cent. No doubt, right? Speak to your friends, colleagues, everyone will agree to this. They say, yes, I do.
And more.
And more, more than you can afford.
It's not just a Malay problem, it's a Brunei problem. I think
Brunei,
Chinese,
everyone.
Malay, we're all the same. No, this generation Chinese is really bad. Our parents' generation are, they all can write the Babylon story.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. You not necessarily being frugal. If you've never saved ever, in the story, it tells you, why not 10%? That's not much. Are you going to miss 10% of your salary, honestly, if you were to just hide that away? You're not even going to notice it. So the point, and then next year, if you can live without 10%, next year maybe you can live without 15%. The year after, maybe you can live without 20%.
So this is your second year doing it. That's why it's 15% only.
No, it's more now. It's more now, luckily, because you kind of learn how to live without that amount. And let's say you get a pay cut tomorrow. You can learn to live with the pay cut, right?
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Right.
So you put that money aside. Imagine if you put that money aside, now you have 90% left, right, of your salary. Imagine if now someone says, you can use whatever you can spend on whatever you want with this 90%. Imagine that freedom. That mindset gives you so much freedom. Rather than paying all your bills, now you have $10 left. Oh, what do I do with this $10? That mindset is that's coming from a scarcity mindset.
Right.
What do I have left? If you come from that abundance mindset, ooh, I have 90% to spend on. What am I going to use it on? Not only are you happier, you're more excited to pay yourself first every month.
Right, but you still have to pay the bill with the 90%.
Of course, 90%, pay the bills, whatever it is that you need, and then you will still have a little bit of money left for your expenses, etc. But 10% is unnoticeable. Yeah, start with it. That's how I started, 10%. This is my, I don't know how many years already, maybe 4th year or something. Slowly it will grow. It doesn't have to be 10% a year. It can be however much you can afford. That is your fixed amount. Even if it's just the same amount forever, it's fine as long as you have some amount. So
have a strategy.
Yeah, strategy.
Don't live beyond your means.
Absolutely, don't live beyond your means. I think a lot of us do try, right, to live beyond our means, and that's the problem, because
it's about what car you drive in Brunei, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing,
and the handbag that you carry.
That's right. What handbag do you carry? What car do you have? And being smart about it and understanding what assets and liabilities are, and learning that. And
the last time we spoke, you said you stopped buying handbag or expensive shoes after your encounter.
Well, I cut it down a lot, by a lot, Leah. I don't really. I mean, I might in the future
indulge
still,
yourself.
Yeah, indulge once in a while, but not as bad as I was before. But maybe I'll only do that once I know I've kind of given this much contribution, then okay, I won't feel bad about, treating myself wrong. But